welcome. I am Ramesh Ramachandran and you're watching Parliament News on DD India. First up, news from the Lok Sabha. The winter session of Parliament began on Wednesday with a somber note, with Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla paying glowing tributes to Samajwadi Party founder Mulayam Singh Yadav and 8 former members who died in recent months. As soon as the House met at 11 a.m. on the first day of the winter session, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla condoled the death of Yadav and the former MPs and said that their contributions to society would be remembered forever. Talking about Yadav, Birla said he represented the Mainpuri Lok Sabha seat at the time of his demise on October 10. He was elected to the lower house 7 times. He said Yadav was Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh for 3 terms and served as Defence Minister as well. Later, he adjourned the House till 12 noon. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Home Minister Amit Shah, Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, other union ministers, opposition leaders including Sonia Gandhi, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, T.R. Balu, Shudip Bandyopadhyay and Farooq Abdullah, among others, were present in the House. India's endeavour during its G20 presidency would be to build consensus within the grouping, raise key issues of the Global South, and highlight the country's 3 Ds: development, democracy and diversity, the government informed the Lok Sabha. In a statement on the latest developments in India's foreign policy, Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi said the country's advocacy of dialogue and diplomacy in the context of the Ukraine conflict has been consistent and persistent. At the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Samarkand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had voiced global sentiment when he declared that this was not an era of war. The PM's statement was in the context of the Ukraine conflict, where our advocacy of dialogue and diplomacy has been consistent and persistent. It has a larger resonance as well. We've also extended support on specific concerns such as supply of food grains and fertilizers, as indeed on security of nuclear installations, Lekhi said. Our position has been broadly appreciated by the international community and it finds reflection in the G20 Bali Declaration, she added. The minister also informed the House that Kashi has been designated as the first SCO cultural and tourist capital for 2022 and 2023. This would facilitate showcasing of age-old knowledge inheritance and rich social and cultural heritage, she said. Talking about the G20, Lekhi noted the Prime Minister attended the Bali G20 summit recently and thereafter India assumed its presidency. Now, G20 is a premier forum for global economic cooperation, representing around 85% of the global GDP, over 75% of the worldwide trade, and about 2/3 of the world population, she said. Prime Minister Modi had noted that India's presidency of the G20 during the year of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is a matter of pride for every Indian, Lekhi noted. The G20 meetings have already commenced in India and the endeavour is to organize about 200 of these meetings in 32 different sectors in multiple locations across India. The G20 summit, to be held next year, would be one of the most high-profile international gatherings to be hosted by India, she said. The G20 is taking place in the larger context of a geopolitical crisis, food and energy insecurity, slow progress on sustainable development goals, mounting debt burden and challenges to climate action and climate justice, Lekhi said. Our endeavour is to build consensus within the G20, champion causes especially of the Global South and shape the setting of the agenda. Now, noting that India envisages the G20 presidency as an occasion to showcase the country to the world, Lekhi said this will be done through cultural activities, regional festivals, technology programs, sustainability initiatives, millets promotion, one district, one product, community engagement and civil society activities. She said our presidency will witness a Jan Bhagidari, that's people's participation, where all of India would not just participate but celebrate this occasion. As House is aware, government has briefed leaders of political parties in this regard. We see this as a truly national endeavour and seek the cooperation of everybody to make it a success, Lekhi said. The minister said the Indian foreign policy is there to serve the Indian people and that we will do whatever it takes to discharge that responsibility. It could be in ensuring international support for our policies or in acceptance of our interests and objectives. These may be difficult times, but it's also an occasion to display our leadership and make a strong contribution to global peace, stability, growth and security, she said. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla called upon elected representatives to celebrate India's G20 presidency, which will be used to display India's diverse culture to the world. He said there would also be a conference of P20 along with G20, during which chairmen and speakers of parliaments in the G20 countries will take part. He said that it's a matter of pride that India is hosting the G20 conference, and more than 200 events will be organized displaying the diverse culture before the visiting dignitaries. The Congress and Trinamool Congress on Wednesday raised the issue of the two parties being denied parliamentary standing committee chairmanship, as has been their convention in the past. Raising the issue in the Lok Sabha on the first day of the winter session of Parliament, Leader of Congress Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and TMC leader Sudeep Bandyopadhyay has flagged changes in the composition of the committees in October. In a reconstitution of parliamentary panels notified by secretariats of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, chairpersons of several committees were changed in the Congress. The Congress and TMC had lost chairmanship of 4 key parliamentary panels, including the Committee on Home Affairs and Information Technology, and no longer had any major committee. With the rejig in composition brought in by the Lok Sabha in October, the chairpersons of the 6 major parliamentary committees, Home, IT, Defence, External Affairs, Finance and Health, belong to the BJP and its allies. NCP leader Supriya Sule sought intervention of the Union Home Ministry in the ongoing border dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka. Raising the issue in the Lok Sabha during 0 hour, Sule said people of Maharashtra are getting beaten up every day despite the BJP being the ruling party in both states. BJP MPs from Karnataka objected to Sule's remarks, saying the matter is sub judice. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla said it's a sensitive issue. It's a matter between 2 states. NCP members staged a walkout from the House in protest. The border dispute has led to clashes between the 2 states recently. The Congress MP N. Uttam Reddy raised the issue of auctioning of 4 coal mines operated by the Singareni Collieries Company Limited in Telangana, and demanded that they be instead allocated to the state-run firm. Coal and Mines Minister Prahlad Joshi hit back, saying the auction process is going on for 2 years. It's a transparent system. People who did a coal scam do not want this transparent system, he said. The mines are being auctioned and the revenues will go to the state government, he said. The Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022, which seeks to bring transparency and accountability in this sector, was introduced in the Lok Sabha amidst demands from opposition MPs that it be referred to a standing committee for review. The bill, brought by Minister of State for Cooperation B.L. Verma, also seeks to strengthen governance, reform the electoral process, improve monitoring mechanism and ensure ease of doing business in multi-state cooperative societies. Opposition MPs allege the bill's provisions encroach on the rights of state governments. Congress leader in the Lok Sabha Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said the government has always called for cooperative federalism and it should have been followed before the preparation of this bill as well. DMK's R. Balu spoke in the same vein. The RSP leader N.K. Premachandan said there are technical issues in the bill. It's against the spirit of the definition of cooperative societies enshrined in the Constitution. Congress leader Manish Tiwari called for the withdrawal of the bill and said certain provisions of the proposed legislation strike at the heart of the autonomy of cooperative societies. He pointed out the 5 clauses which he claimed are beyond the legislative competence of the House. Certain provisions in the bill put an additional burden on the cooperatives and infringe on the cardinal principle of autonomous functioning as provided in Article 43B of the Constitution, he said. Article 43B says states shall endeavor to promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies. This bill, he said, should be withdrawn, should be reconsidered as it violates and attacks the federal spirit of the Constitution with a sledgehammer, unquote. MOS Varma said the bill is within the capacity of the House and amendments have been introduced on several occasions in the past as well. Matters related to pendency of cases of dues to West Bengal, renaming of the Bombay High Court and air pollution were among the issues raised by Lok Sabha members on Wednesday. Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi raised the issue of India's poor performance in combating air pollution. He said it's because of the insufficient capacity building of municipal corporations and district subdivision administration under the National Clean Air Program. He claimed that most cities mandated to submit the city action plans have only replicated each other's initiatives. Trinamool Congress MP Shaukat Roy urged the government to pay attention to pay the pending funds related to the job scheme to West Bengal, which he claimed amounted to around 7,300 crore rupees. He also says the total amount pending to the state involving other schemes was rupees 1 lakh crore. He said it's very unfortunate that neither funds nor response have been received from the ministry. BJP's Gopal Shetty demanded that the name of Bombay High Court be changed to Maharashtra High Court. BJP's Khagen Murmu urged the government to expedite construction of Malda Airport, while party colleague Sandhya Ray urged the government to open a Krishi Vigyan Kendra in Madhya Pradesh's Bhind. BJP's Rajesh Verma urged the railway minister to introduce a mainline electric multiple unit train between Sitapur and Lucknow to facilitate movement of passengers in the region. Another BJP MP, Diya Kumari, said in 2015 the Archaeological Survey of India identified sites of religious and historical importance for implementation of disabled-friendly initiatives, but at Kumbhalgarh Fort and Ranthambore Fort, these initiatives are yet to take off. She urged the ASI to make these sites more inclusive. The members raised the issues under Rule 377, the Anti-Maritime Piracy Bill, which seeks to formulate a law to deal with piracy in the global waters, was taken up by the Lok Sabha. The bill seeks to enact a domestic anti-maritime piracy legislation in line with UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. Moving the bill in the House, Minister S. Jaishankar said it will enhance India's maritime security, including those of our trade routes. The bill, which was introduced in the lower chamber on December 9, 2019, was sent to a standing committee of Parliament. The minister said the government has tried to suitably incorporate the recommendations of the parliamentary panel in the bill. Jaishankar said 14 out of 18 recommendations were accepted, adding that one of the recommendations, which was about having a standard operating procedure for deportation and extradition of pirates by the Ministry of Home Affairs, has been noted. It will be addressed suitably. He said that the provision of trial in absentia has been dropped. He said India does not have a specific law or legal provision CPC or the IPC or even CRPC on privacy. This bill, along with amendments, would provide an effective legal instrument to combat piracy not only in our territorial waters but in the EEZ and also on the high seas. The minister stressed that the safety of India's maritime routes is necessary for the country's security as well as economic well-being. The security of sea lanes of communication is critical to our national well-being. India is also one of the largest providers of seafarers in the world, he said. He added that passing of the bill is a logical follow-up to India's maritime initiatives and will also enhance India's maritime security, including that of our trade routes and welfare of our seafarers in international waters. Congress MP Manish Tiwari, meanwhile, expressed concern over growing Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean. As per the statement of purpose of the bill, it was decided to bring about a domestic and piracy legislation for the prosecution of persons for piracy-related crimes and to promote the safety and security of India's maritime trade, including the safety of its vessels and crew members. It said the Gulf of Aden has been a major source of attacks by pirates operating from Somalia since 2008. Now, this route is used by about 2,000 ships each month for trade between Asia and Europe and east coast of Africa. With the enhanced naval presence in the Gulf of Aden, pirates shifted operations eastwards and southwards, and this led to a flurry of piracy incidents towards the western coast of India as well, he said. The bill aims to make provisions of the proposed legislation applicable to all parts of the sea adjacent to and beyond the limits of Exclusive Economic Zone of India, that's the EEZ, to make the act of piracy on high seas an offence punishable with imprisonment for life or with death. It also provides punishment for attempt to commit offence of piracy or being an accessory to the commission of offence, make the offence extraditable, and to enable the central government, in consultation with the Chief Justice of the concerned High Court, to specify certain courts as designated courts for speedy trial of offences of piracy under the proposed legislation. Another news from the Rajya Sabha. The Bundes session of Rajya Sabha began with the Vice President and the new Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankar, being felicitated by members on assuming the chairmanship of the Upper House. Proceedings on the opening day of the session begin with members welcoming Mr. Dhankar on his becoming the President and Vice President and Chairman of the Upper House. Welcoming the new Chairman, the PM said that a person from a humble background, a farmer's son, being elected to this high post is a source of inspiration for everyone. He greeted members on the occasion of Armed Forces Flag Day as well. The Prime Minister on the occasion referred to India having assumed two important positions, including the G20 presidency. He said India will be in the coming days play an important role in deciding the direction of the world. The Prime Minister said that it was a matter of pride that Dr. Dhankar is assuming chairmanship at the time of Amrit Kal. He hailed Mr. Dhankar as a son of farmer and a student of Sainik School as well. He said, "You have worked in several positions and capacities over the years. While holding all the positions, your first priority has always been the development of the nation," the PM said. He said, "I'm sure that under your leadership, this August session will maintain its glory," unquote. Deputy Chair Harivansh congratulated Mr. Dhankar on assuming chairmanship of the Rajya Sabha. Welcoming him as chairman, Mr. Harivansh said, Mr. Dhankar was a wide experience of public and parliamentary life. You also have a vast experience of legal life from the grassroots level to the top, he said. He said this vast experience equips him to deal with the challenges that he would face as chairman of this house. Opposition leader Mallikarjun Kharge assured full support to the new chairman from the Congress for running the house. He called for increased deliberation on bills in the house and referring of sensitive bills to select committee of the upper house. He said, due to less sittings, the house does not get time to discuss important issues and bills are also passed in a hurry. He said while the opposition is less in number, members have a lot of experience. Mr. Kharge said, late Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru always respected the parliament. Shukendra Shekhar Rao of the Trinamool Congress said more time for discussion should be given to the smaller parties as well. He said there should be one short duration discussion or discussion calling attention motion per week. Voice of dissent should be listened in the House, he said, and recommended Section 267 matter should be taken up for discussion. Tiruchi Siva of DMK assured that the DMK will cooperate with him in running the House. He hoped that the chairman will give time to smaller parties as well. Sasmit Patra of the BJD welcomed Mr. Dhankar said, "You are a distinguished voice of law presiding over the House of Law." Welcoming him on assuming chairmanship of the House, leader of the House Piyush Goyal said it's a matter of pride that you are assuming chairmanship of the Rajya Sabha. He said the meeting of members with him in the last few weeks has been a learning experience for many. He hoped that the enthusiasm with members speak today will also be maintained during the rest of the session. Responding felicitation by members, Rajya Sabha chairperson Jagdeep Dhankar said that he is deeply moved and touched by words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, opposition leader Mallikarjun Kharge and leader of the House Piyush Goyal and other members. He said the nation expects the House of Elders to take decisive lead and exemplify the highest legislative standards. Referring to issues facing the House, he said authorities under the Constitution are expected to behave with decorum and propriety. Obstruction and disruption antithetical to parliamentary practice, he said. Democracy flourishes with legislative, judiciary and executive adhere to their respective domains. He asked members to foster a cordial, wholesome environment to promote synergic functioning. He said there is hope that India's growth trajectory would bring peace. Referring to the fact India takes on the mantle of G20, he said that the various events during this time will allow India to demonstrate its richness and the progress in its development over the years. Thereafter, he adjourned the House for lunch. In the post-lunch session, the chairman read out obituary references to ex-members K.R. Jayadevappa, Syed Sible Ravi, Jayanti Patnaik, Ahmad Saeed Malihabadi, Ila Ramesh Bhatt and A.A. Jinnah. The House observed silence in memory of the departed leaders. Obituary references were all followed by the laying of papers as well. Mr. Jaishankar read out a statement on latest developments in India's foreign policy since the monsoon session. In it, he briefed the House on the latest developments in India's foreign policy initiatives. These include PM Modi's travels abroad and the visit to India by foreign leaders as well. He spoke on India's plans for the G20 presidency and India's involvement in the recent G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. In a statement, the minister also talked about foreign trips by other government officials. He referred to President Draupadi Murmu's first overseas visit in office to the UK to attend the funeral of late Queen Elizabeth II. He said after a long gap due to COVID-19, India will host the Pravasi Bharat Divas from January 10 to 13 to honor the contributions of Indians overseas. He said Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has agreed to be chief guest at the Republic Day parade in 2023. Members sought clarifications from Minister Jaishankar on India's foreign policy, such as plans for G20, the Russia-Ukraine conflict and India's abstention on a UN Human Rights Council vote on Sri Lanka situation. M. Thambidurai of ADMK raised concerns about India's stance on Sri Lanka's human rights record, while Manoj Kumar Jha of the RJD asked why India's foreign policy has been shaped only by events after 2014, thus undermining everything done before 2014. John Britters of CPIM sought clarification on India's stand on Palestine cause, while Sujit Kumar of BJD asked for information on 8 ex-naval officers who are detained in Qatar for close to 100 days now with little information about their well-being. The minister told members that India has had a consistent approach to support all communities in Sri Lanka. He said India does not want to interfere in any country presently embroiled in economic crisis. On whether India's foreign policy has been shaped only by events after 2014, the minister said India's foreign policy has been more focused, dynamic and effective out of 2014, an year which was a watershed moment for India. On Palestine, Minister Jaishankar reiterated that India wants a two-state solution. He said India's support for Palestine has gone up in recent years. On Ukraine crisis, he said the government is doing all it can to help students whose education was affected by the Ukraine war. On G20 presidency agenda, he said women-led development would be one of India's priorities. We'll celebrate the presidency of G20 across all Indian states unlike anything before, he said. On ex-servicemen detained in Qatar, he said that the Indian ambassador is in touch with the Qatari government on this issue. After clarifications, the House took up the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2022. Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav moved for the consideration of the bill. Speaking on the bill, the minister said that bringing the bill is in line with India's global commitment since the rule of the UPA. The Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill passed in the Lok Sabha in the monsoon session of Parliament aims to give effect to India's obligations under Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Fauna and Flora or CITES. The bill seeks to amend the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Initiating the discussion on the bill, Vivek Thankar of the Congress raised concern on transportation of elephants under the bill. He said there was loopholes in the bill that would lead to problems regarding the protection of elephants. He said there is a section that says transportation can be done for religious and for any other purposes, which he termed as vague. He said the bill ignored eco-sensitive zones. Kanimori Soma of DMK stressed the need to promote sustainable tourism. John Britters of CPIM said that the bill infringes on the rights of the state governments. He said the government should ensure the rights of the state governments are protected. He said a clause of the amendment bill takes away the right of consultation with state boards by proposing to substitute the same with national board. Sulata Dey of the BJD expressed concern of the decreasing budget for Project Tiger. Speaking on the bill, Rakesh Sinha of the BJP refuted contention by the opposition that the bill infringes on federal structure. On the issue of recently introduced chief justice in Madhya Pradesh, Minister Sinha termed as information the claim that the Saharia tribe of Madhya Pradesh was displaced during this process. He said the per capita income of the Saharia tribe members has increased due to the travel opportunities arising because of the cheetahs. The discussion remained inconclusive and will continue on Thursday. The chairman called for special mention and thereafter the House was adjourned for the day. And with that, it's a wrap on Parliament News. Thanks for watching.